October 15th in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The New Mexico Lobos roamed down Interstate 25 to battle their bitter in-state rivals, the New Mexico State Aggies, in the Rio Grande rivalry. The Lobos, winners of the past 3 rivalry games, leapt to an early 3-0 lead thanks to a cleverly kicked 44-yard field goal. The Aggies answered with a timely 22-yard touchdown pass to take the lead 7-3. The Lobos bounced back and converted another field goal to slice the Aggies' lead down to 7-6. Both teams traded missed kicks before halftime, and the score remained the same. In the second half, fortuitous field position found the Aggies. Advantageous adventures arose, and the crafty crew from Las Cruces carved their way to a timely 2 touchdowns which elongated and extended their lead to 21-6. A bend-but-don't-break defense by the Aggies locked up the Lobos, allowing only 1 second-half field goal. The Aggies came away with the victory, and the fans found themselves flying high, which led to a fabulous overnight fiesta. New Mexico State 21, New Mexico 9.
Welcome, everyone, to the Sickos Committee Podcast. This is our recap of Week 7 of college football action. It was quite a weekend. We had stuff at all levels that ended up being wacky, weird, and coming apart at the seams at the last moment, it seems like. I'm Jordan. I am VP of Graphic Design, and I'm going to call myself Chancellor of the Exchequer this time, okay? I feel like I've earned that title. With me tonight, as always, is Commissioner Escalante and our special guest, our 3-time guest, I believe, ChickenSedan.
Yeah, it's my 3rd time. And I mentioned before that I'm going to claim the title, since it seems to be vacant, of Minister of Stale Memes.
There we go.
If anybody watches the Twitter and sees every once in a while there's a lazy meme, something that was, probably dead 3 months ago, and it gets put up on the Twitter, it was probably something I posted.
Chicken, how was your weekend?
It was good. I was mentioning before we got on the pod that I probably failed in my Sickos due diligence, and I kind of watched a few good football games on Saturday. We got a wood-burning fireplace. We got the fire going in the house, and the dogs sort of laid by the fire all weekend, so they had a good time. It's going
good
well.
Time.
How about you?
Good. Mine was good. I had lots of games going on. I finally figured out a way to. I was multi videoing on my desktop. The Varsity app, of course. Hearing Hartzell on the Blitz thing helps a ton when you're trying to be out and about and follow, a dozen games at a time. Kamish, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was a lot of some crazy, wild games. Not necessarily all the top name ranked games. There was a lot of drama and overtimes in games that nobody really was essentially paying attention to, which is a lot of fun when you get a game that goes into like 4 overtimes. In like a random American game out of nowhere, which you can whatever you want to say about the 2-point conversion thing. Once it hits 3rd overtime, it's like you're playing tennis a little bit. Like you serve, I serve. But no, it was a great weekend. It was jam packed, and I'm a little tired. Like I did not do well on the Hawaii test this week. I'll just say that.
Oh, I'll totally give you that too. I did not either. After the first quarter, I zonked out. I am officially too old for this shit, quote unquote, it feels like.
I was long asleep before that game started. I think I went to bed around 9:00.
All right, so I guess I made it longer than all of you. So I feel slightly better about that. So
for our game of the week this week, we had the Battle of Enchantment, the Battle of I-25, what's the actual name of it? The Battle of the Rio Grande rivalry.
Yeah.
It was New Mexico State and New Mexico, and New Mexico State wins it.
That's right.
This was a lot of fun. This game was a little back and forth, but New Mexico State, once they got going, they sort of put their foot down on New Mexico's neck and held them there. I was really surprised to see that.
The Aggies defense was great, even though they gave up a lot of yards, which, New Mexico outgained them. But, as Kirk Ferentz says that, offensive yards are overrated. Yep. And this really proved true in this game. Even though the Lobos had more yards, they didn't score a touchdown. They got 3 field goals, which is not necessarily ever a great way to try to win a game. New Mexico State had some short fields. and they were able to punch it in for touchdowns. So they cashed in their short fields for touchdowns, and they really capitalized on it. It was a great, fantastic game. The entanglement, or whatever we want to call it. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to just bandy about with the social media. I did drink my final Pistol Pete 1888 after the Aggies victory
Yeah.
to celebrate for them. So I mean, they would. I think in their what is their the song that they sing at the end. It says the Aggies will drink until they wobble in their shoes, which is, I mean, it's on the can, so I could kind of sing it along with them. But it was a lot of fun, and congrats to New Mexico State. What a win!
It was. The interesting thing was, so New Mexico outgained them 252 to 208, but also New Mexico ran 25 more plays than New Mexico State. New Mexico State only ran 45 plays, but did so much more with it. I was really proud of the Aggies. They played really well. Next week they host San Jose State, which I don't know about that one. San Jose State had a rough one this weekend too.
They did.
But after that, New Mexico State heads to UMass, which is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that.
Guaranteed to be on Flow Sports for sure.
No, it's at UMass.
Oh,
so it might not be.
We'll see. We'll find it.
See.
Doesn't matter where it is. We're gonna find it. Yeah, we're finding it.
Hey, can we talk about ranked Tulane real fast?
That's right. Roll wave.
Roll fucking wave. I'm so happy for them.
Who was it that found the old Tulane mascot that looked like somebody just like took a hefty bag and painted the Green Wave logo on?
I think No Context had it, but I've seen it before.
I've seen it. Yeah, we definitely dug that one up before in the off season for sure. It just looks like one of those like inflatable, maybe Missy Elliott, I Can't Stand the Rain, Tulane Green Wave.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Just basically,
Get a fisheye lens. I need a fisheye lens on this thing.
Need a fisheye lens, and definitely just an inflatable. What are like the inflatable sumo suits where you would wrestle in? It kind of looked like that in the shape of an angry wave. It definitely something like that. That's what it looks like, and that's great. I mean, the first time they've been ranked since 1998, because baby, it feels like 1998.
Feels like 98 now.
It does.
That's right.
Yeah, 90s are back, baby.
Because Arizona is ranked number 4. Oh wait, that's not happening. Hold up.
They didn't do too well against Washington, but they fought well in that game.
They did.
They battled back. They almost, they just fell short.
When we kept hollering it feels like 98, I went back and pulled the final 98 poll.
Yep.
And some of these things, definitely feel like 98. 4th ranked Arizona with 12-1 record does not feel like that. No, I just
not this year. No.
Not feeling that. No. I'm also not feeling a 9-3 Notre Dame.
No.
Did Arizona play in the Rose Bowl that year? Was it Arizona, Ohio State?
No.
So fun story. Arizona's never been to a Rose Bowl.
What?
No, they've never been. No, never.
In program history, they've never been to a Rose Bowl. In fact, that year I looked it up. They lost to UCLA, and UCLA won the Pac-10, and UCLA went to the Rose Bowl, and Arizona ended up in the Holiday Bowl. Yeah, it feels like 98 for a lot of reasons. 98 was Tulane's last ranked season, where they ended undefeated, and they finished 7th in the AP poll, I believe, at the very end.
Yeah, that was the first year of the BCS, which, they had to go to the Liberty Bowl, and they won that one relatively handily. That was the Tommy Bowden coached Tulane Green Wave with the offensive coordinator of Rich Rodriguez.
Oh my God.
That's Jacksonville State's coach, Rich Rodriguez now. Yeah.
And of course, Tommy Bowden did not coach that bowl game though, because
he left to go to
off
Clemson.
To Clemson.
That's right.
Hey, how many ranked teams did Tulane beat in 1998?
I don't think
is this
maybe one.
The answer is 0.
Okay.
The answer is 0.
What conference were they in the 90s?
That was CUSA.
They were in Conference USA, yes.
Yeah, that was CUSA, who was Tulane, Southern Miss, Louisville, East Carolina, Army, Houston, Memphis, and Cincinnati.
We learned recently that Conference USA is the Conference of Theseus, where literally every team is turned over.
So now that Tulane has their poll in the polls, the longest droughts are Wyoming, who has not been in 391 polls, or they are 391 polls since their last appearance. Rice, who is 959 polls from their last appearance. New Mexico State, who's 961 polls from last appearance. And then the Mean Green in North Texas, 977 polls from their last appearance.
How long has North Texas been a football team? Have they been? 1913.
They've been around for a long time.
They have been in the polls.
time.
All these teams have made the
Long
poll
time.
at some manner.
North Texas started playing football in 1913.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
So what we're saying is ranked Rice is going to be our next big. Actually, we can probably get ranked Wyoming first. I feel like ranked Wyoming's a possibility at some point soon. So congrats, roll wave. Tulane looks good this year.
6-1.
6-1.
They got some fun, tough, games coming up. I think they got Memphis next week. Memphis is always feisty. Memphis and Tulane just basically drive up I-55, and you're there. And it's a nice little drive on I-55 from New Orleans to Memphis, and really, it's a nice battle. And they always play each other close, and it's kind of like Tulane and Houston. They're always crazy close games, and it should be fun to watch. Yeah.
Kamish, I owe you $5. It is 9:17 Central on a Sunday night, and Brian Harsin still has a job.
I don't even remember this bet, but sure, pay me $5.
You know, I owe you $5. I didn't owe you $5. I bet you 5. I forget when it was. I bet you 5.
So I said he wasn't going to be fired.
Yeah, you said he wasn't going to be fired. I said he was.
Okay, all right.
I was sure he was on. Who's done for this one?
I'm a Brian Harsin believer. Okay,
there you go.
Oh no!
All right.
Oh no!
So when Brian Harsin gets extended, send those complaints to
Hey,
Escalante.
they battled hard with Ole Miss, so I mean, like the kids aren't giving up.
No,
I'll
for
just
sure
say that they're not giving up, and they actually scored points in the second half. I mean, that's a big improvement. You know, the most lively part of that game was the streaker ran across the entire field, and then the security guard just like
Good tackle.
formed. I mean, oh god, like just lowered the shoulder, kept his head up, and just drove him into the American flag painted on the end zone there.
Yeah,
should have taken a cue from the LSU fan. Just chill out. Maybe you get away with it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that guy. Thank you for reminding me. The dude that just randomly walked on the field.
There you go.
And like he was on the front porch, like your grandma saying goodbye to you, just looking at the game going on.
So I actually had half a mind to throw up a alert for Brian Harsin to see if it comes up during this, but I honestly, I know you had that discussion last week about not being able to manage notifications on your phone, Jordan, and I have that same paralysis, so I don't even know how I would go about putting up a Brian Harsin alert, and if I did, then I would be haunted because 3-4 years from now, when some G5 team hires Harsin, I'm going to get an alert, and I'm just going to have no idea how to turn it off.
Mm-hmm. So even though it's not a Sickos game, I feel like we need to say something about Tennessee, Alabama, because it was it was actually a really good game that lived up to the hype, which is very rare in these kinds of things.
Yes.
And 2, there were some like really fun things in there.
Yeah.
Kamish, I know you don't want to hear about this, but we had some puking intimidation, and it was great.
Okay, so I've actually been able to watch this one because it's not like a direct looking at the guy's mouth puke.
Nope.
Because that's what the other ones were. Like you could just see like inside there, like you could see their face doing that. This was a little bit off to the side, so you could only see like what's coming out, sideways, like the profile. So I was okay watching this one.
But after the puke, he just stares down Alabama, and it's beautiful.
He's staring him down, and he's shaking his head up and down like, "Oh yeah, you want some of this?"
Yeah.
Just like I can't. I'm like you just. I mean, whenever you're in college, you throw up, and then you come back and continue drinking. It seemed like that was the puking rally, so to speak,
rally.
for the puke rally.
We called it the Bootin' rally. That was
yeah. We went to school in the Northeast. Called it Beirut and not beer pong.
Yeah.
So, of the 2 notable puking incidents this weekend that I'm aware of, there might have been more, and we'll get to the other one later. This one, though it wasn't a shot, you can't see it coming out of his mouth like you said. It was a bit more voluminous. There was something of substance.
It was.
There.
It was. It had some body to it. The other thing about this game that was really bizarre was the refs were kind of weird. There were some calls that felt like gimme calls in both directions. And then that last kick, it looked like an absolute knuckleball. It was spinning sideways. It was a gross looking kick. And the Tennessee kicker had missed an extra point that I was sure was going to screw them up. Like, I'm glad that Josh Heupel went for the 2-point conversion to cover that, because I had this like awful feeling that point was going to matter a lot at the end. But did that ball get tipped at the very end?
I think it did.
I was looking at it, and it looked like maybe like a pinky of one of the Alabama linemen got it to cause the rotation to be kind of weird and knuckleball. But I mean, I haven't seen like the sideline angle to confirm it, but just looking at it and the way that the ball, like after it went past the pinky, it looked like to me it was tipped ever so slightly, which caused the knuckleball, and which is, I mean, is a fitting end to this game, because it was just weird, like such a pretty offensive game. Like, I mean, the Tennessee wide receiver had 6 catches for 5 touchdowns.
Jesus Christ.
It reminded me of the Randy Moss Thanksgiving game where he had 3 catches for like 150 yards and 3 TDs, just torching the Cowboys. That definitely reminded me of that one, because I mean, anytime you can almost average a touchdown a catch, and he had over 200 some odd yards receiving.
Wow.
I mean, Nick Saban jumping up and down, living on the sidelines. I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of good. I mean, it was a fantastic game. I mean, again,
it was a really good game.
We're the Sickos, but again, we have to. I mean, Sickos means we watch it all. It doesn't necessarily mean that we just completely focus on like the big games.
You got to say there were some real Sickos moments at the end of the game. I only tuned in toward the end, right when Alabama scored, I think, to tie the ball game, and then the very next play, Tennessee just completely beefed the mesh point.
What did they
Alabama
do?
He
laid the ball down. I've never seen a fumble look like that. Like, Hendon Hooker did not even know what was like. He did not know he did not have the ball anymore. He was so confused.
Yeah, it was bad. And then we had the return to form of Alabama kicking, which is just appropriate in a big game when the kicker doesn't show up. And then you say knuckleball, but I saw it described by friend of the program, Spencer Hall, referred to it as a depth charge. If you think about it, it looks like the Boba Fett depth charges when he shoots out of his ship.
On Twitter, had a funny story from Greg McElroy, who said that at the 2008 Tennessee-Bama game, they had, this is Alabama side, they had cigars in the locker room, but forgot to buy lighters. They asked fans for lighters, and they tossed them, and he stuffed them in his pants. And then Coach put me in the game. I played the last 2 to 3 plays with 5 lighters in my pants.
So of course I had to look it up. I had to look up like what plays, what Greg McElroy was doing with the 5 lighters in his football pants or socks, or we didn't. I don't think he ever clarified where they were on his person. So I looked it up, and I'm assuming he was in for 4 plays. So I'm going to say that he said 2 to 3 plays, but I'm assuming he's in for 4 plays. Basically, he handed the ball off to running back Terry Grant 4 times, which Terry Grant ran the ball in that game 4 times for 11 yards. He got that final first down. On 4th and 8, Terry Grant ran for 8 yards to kill the remainder of the clock, and the Tide won that game 29-9.
Then he had pants in his lighters in his pants, whatever it was.
That's right.
Shut up. The more fun than the game itself and more relevant to us, I think, were the things around the game. So, for example, ESPN had a great graphic about the most points ever put up against Alabama in a game. And so Tennessee put 52 up against them on Saturday. To go to higher scores before that, we are going back to a time when football was not scored the same. We were going back to the days where touchdowns were 5 points and field goals were 4. I know this because I looked up the vaunted 1906 Vanderbilt football team who hung 78 on Alabama.
That's all right. Let me say it. Hold on real quick. The vaunted Vandy offense of 1906.
And this wasn't even the minute. This wasn't even like the minute a score Vandy offense. Okay, that was another year. That was a different one.
Oh man, the vaunted Vandy offense is a legend that we have just fully grown to appreciate nowadays because we've been looking up and staring at Vandy's history. And this game prompted us to go back to Vandy's history again. Thank you so much, Tennessee.
78-0. They blanked Alabama. And this was the first this was under the quote unquote new rules that everyone got so apparently what they were seeing is very much softening.
Ruining the game.
Ruining the game.
Was this Teddy Roosevelt's meddling?
Yes. Because they added things like, let me go to my notes here. They added things such as making sure there's a neutral zone between the two teams at the line of scrimmage. Because that used to not be a thing.
Oh, the woke Teddy Roosevelt organization.
Oh my God.
Ruining college football.
You are now hurdling was now penalized. Offensive linemen had to drop back 5 yards behind scrimmage if not moving forward. But the really fun thing here was that they started allowing forward passes a few years before that. And originally, if you threw an incomplete pass, it was a 15-yard spot penalty from where the pass was thrown.
So there was a penalty if you threw an incomplete pass.
If you threw an incomplete pass, spot penalty from where you were, if you were on first or second down, because it was only 3 downs at that point. Okay. So on first or second, if you threw a pass, 15-yard spot penalty. If the defense committed a foul, the 15-yard penalty didn't apply to the offense, but the defending team was not penalized either. All DP, all DPI. Just start mugging them. Who cares?
Offsetting penalties is a discussion that I can't get into because I hate it and I think it's always terribly applied.
Also, you could not catch a pass more than 20 yards beyond the line of scrimmage and not beyond the goal line because the end zone had not been invented yet.
Well, we saw that this weekend in the game they played at
the Trash Pandas.
The Rocket City Trash Pandas. And we might see it next week in Tennessee if they don't get their GoFundMe supported.
That's right. So old football is very weird, and whenever you see things like a score of 10-4, well, that is nothing but a touchdown worth 5 plus a kick worth 1 plus a 4-point field goal. It looks bizarre, but like this is why also college football scoregami isn't super interesting because the game was played like rugby for so long that like there are 1-2 point games from like way back that exist because the rules weren't codified until like the 1915 or so.
Wasn't there at one point where the actual touchdown was like barely worth anything and the point after was where you got the points or something?
Yeah, there's been a couple of versions of that. This is like rugby, soccer, and all these sports started like evolving from each other. Anyways, congrats what we're saying is congrats 1906 Vanderbilt. Claim that national title. They don't claim it for some reason. I don't know why they don't, but they should.
We give it to them.
Don't let Yale have that. You know, on Saturday morning, when I was getting ready to like head out for the morning, I did not expect to have a bunch of people tag us like, hey, Bear shouted you guys out on game day. And I about lost my shit.
We got a bunch of mentions of like, hey, the Bear, Chris Fallica, he shouted you out on game day. I'm like, what? And it was like in the beginning of the show, which I mean, it's understandable when we would get our mention, which I'm still shocked. I can't even believe that we got mentioned on game day. And he mentioned our Sickos top 25. And then they proceeded to preview UConn against Ball State,
yeah.
New Mexico State versus New Mexico. He made a quip about New Mexico State calling New Mexico the school up north, just like somebody else. And I think Reese Davis found that incredibly funny. And then he mentioned the Nevada at Hawaii game, which I was like, okay, if you're going to do this segment every week, please, Bear. I mean, that was amazing. That's the 3 that we are going to talk about the most on this podcast. I mean, we let off the podcast for New Mexico State and New Mexico, I mean, that's what we love here because we love all of the game and we love watching all of it. So again, thank you so much. I can't even somebody clipped the video for us. I think it's like PSC highlights. And I'm like, thank you so much for this. And I mean, this silly Twitter account again, I mean, we hit 50,000 followers. I'm like, what is going on, man?
Yeah, we did.
I'm still shocked.
It's also very fitting. We hit 50,000 not during a beautiful Saturday morning of college football. We hit it during Thursday night football, where we were like telling people that they were free of their punishment from having to watch the NFL, that they could watch something fun instead.
come watch Baylor and West Virginia
I
with
looked at
like
the
all of us.
account, on
Yeah.
Friday, and I saw it was over 50K. And I was like, oh, where did that happen? I didn't see it.
Hey guys, is Syracuse good?
Oh, all right. I think we need to let's debate this out a little bit here. They beat a weakened NC State 24-9. The funny thing about this game is that Syracuse only had 2 drives in the second half. They only had 2 drives in the second half. They got touchdowns on both of those drives. So they had the ball twice. and like NC State had the ball for so long. I mean, like, did nothing with it. But they just had the ball. I don't know what they were doing. Like, I mean, like, I'm watching the game. I have no idea what NC State's doing. I mean, they're playing, their backup quarterback, and I mean, they're trying everything. Like, they're just throwing everything in the playbook, and the clock is just running. I don't know if it was a running clock. Who knows? But I mean, really, Syracuse is now 6-0. We've had the question: is Syracuse good? I feel like they are. Maybe.
I think so. Like
I'm gonna say.
I'm very comfortable. I think
Yeah.
we'll find out this weekend versus Clemson if they're great.
That's
I
right.
want to sidestep
We'll
the
find out if
question.
they're great.
I would like to sidestep the question because I have another question that I'm going to ask and then immediately answer. And my question.
all
So first off, before I get into what my question is, I want to go to. I'm going to reference probably a lot of people listening to this, and I'm sure that both of you have read Alex Kirshner's excellent piece in Slate the other day, or he posted today about the Tennessee win and what it means. And I'm just going to quote a little bit from here because I think this applies to Syracuse. Quoting from Alex Kirshner's piece in Slate, college football is America's most Sisyphean sport. You could spend your entire life dreaming about your program getting to the mountaintop, the figurative one, not Rocky Top in Tennessee, and unless you root for one of a small handful of programs, you'll never get salvation. Such is life in a game with 131 teams in the top classification, about 15 of which are playing a different sport than the rest. So, Syracuse is not one of those 15 teams. They might end up in the top 15 this year, but they're not a consistent top 15 team, and that's fine. But here's the thing. They've been doing great. They've won the games they've played. And so my question that I'm going to immediately answer is Syracuse fun? And I posit that, yes, Syracuse is absolutely a fun team. And I'm going to use 2 examples. And I haven't watched much of their defense, so I don't know much about their defense, but their offense is fun. Leading it off is Garrett Schrader, and Garrett Schrader is the consummate college football quarterback. So he first crossed my radar. I'm from the Midwest originally, back in the Midwest now, and I grew up watching Big Ten football, so I'm not the biggest well-versed in SEC football history mostly. 2019 Egg Bowl was the first time I ever watched the Egg Bowl. And you had quarterbacks for Mississippi State. You had freshman Garrett Schrader, who kind of longish hair, not really that long hair, but like just a scraggly beard. Guys from North Carolina, looks like the epitome of, come from North Carolina playing at Mississippi State. On the other side of the ball, you had John Reese Plumlee, who I think he played baseball for Ole Miss as well. It just clean cut, all-American, good-looking kid. And you look at these two, and I made the observation during this game, I have literally no knowledge of Mississippi football, that these two quarterbacks, they just completely represent just the stereotypes of the schools. And it somehow got like 10,000 likes, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
There you go.
And as you two probably know by this point, every time you make a comment that's sort of a throwaway, and there's no intention to insult anybody, no fan bases, no people, but people in the replies got so angry and they thought I was insulting their team. Both sides, they both got so angry. It was very funny. Yep. Anyway, so Garrett Schrader was in that game. Obviously, Ole Miss ended up winning, and Elijah Moore did a celebration in the end zone that will live on forever. And both coaches
changed the world.
It changed the world.
Both coaches ended up getting fired after the game.
Yes.
Into Mississippi State the next year is Mike Leach. And Mike Leach likes to run the air raid offense. Who is absolutely not an air raid quarterback? Oh, that would be Garrett Schrader. So he stayed on. I guess they lined up at wide receiver a few times. I don't think he caught any passes. Ended up transferring to Syracuse last year. And here we go this year. And the guy just, he's a ball player. He'll run the ball. He's not afraid to take a hit. He slings it. He's throwing almost 70% completions this year. He's got almost up to 1,500 yards passing. He's got 300 yards rushing. I think he ran for like 81 yards yesterday. Yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to watch. And the other player on their team that just stood out to me, and again, I watched like the last quarter of the game, but the other guy on that team that stood out to me big time was Orlando Godson II. This guy is like 6'6", just a beanpole of a guy, catches everything, and just out there, just having fun. I like the team. I don't know if they're good. I won't answer that question, but they're fun.
Also, Garrett Schrader last year at Syracuse was a backup to a young man named Tommy DeVito.
Yes.
Who we also are big fans of this year.
Yeah.
Because Tommy DeVito is Illinois' starting quarterback.
Yes.
So it all works out.
Yep.
Everything comes back to Syracuse this year. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And
6-0 Syracuse.
And Tommy didn't have to switch colors.
And
he had the same gear.
Same gear. That's right. Perfect. I mean, I think they're both sponsored by Nike. I mean, it works out. I wanted to mention that Syracuse is 6-0 for the first time since 1987.
Donovan McNabb didn't even put up a 6-0
start. No, not a 6-0 start. No, McNabb did not do that. So the first time since 1987. So our little question of is Syracuse good at when they were 1-0 after they beat Louisville and then Louisville beat UCF. We started asking the question and we're like, are they? They're fun. Garrett Schrader is what I think they call a gamer. He will do stuff, amazing stuff, ridiculous stuff. He can make huge errors. He can make great plays when everything goes off schedule or when the play breaks down. And that's what we love to watch because, it's a lot of fun. When the protection breaks down, he will scramble around and just throw a ball at a weird arm angle and somehow it gets tipped and Syracuse catches it for a first down. It's amazing.
Indiana, we think this was your 700 loss. News sites have corroborated this, but do you know how hard it is to fucking count over 700 losses across 120 years of football? It's hard to do, guys. It's so hard to do.
I was like, is it 698, 699? I remember seeing a graphic for 698, but I don't even know what week I saw that graphic. So we're like, and then other news sites have said 700, and so it could be 699. We're not trying to pick on you, Indiana, because there's other schools that are coming to that milestone. I believe Northwestern is approaching rapidly.
They're real close
with their year, so they may get there soon too. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to be there first, I guess, because you've been playing football since the 1890s, I believe. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time. It's kind of like you're an all-time NFL great QB that throws a lot of touchdown passes. The interceptions are probably going to come along with that, likely. Mm-hmm. So that's not like a dig at you. It's something to maybe put a feather in the cap. And believe me, Indiana, you are the only team to beat Illinois this year. So hang on to that one.
I'm going to posit that this was the Dudes Rock moment of the week where a bunch of young Indiana fans, all young men, were shirtless and dancing around in the stands during loss number 700.
It's great. It's great. Those are my kind of people. I feel that. I love it. Absolutely. Dudes Rock moment of the week. Thumbs up. Indiana guys who are dancing there, swinging their shirts and enjoying it.
They did that. I think last year, but yeah. I don't think I've searched for the reason why they did that. And I really don't care. Just do it. Enjoy.
I'm just it's a lot of fun. It was an afternoon game and in October and not a noon game in September because these boys would have been hurting if they were out there in the sun.
LSU Florida was just as stupid as we thought it was. The part that I really enjoyed was watching Anthony Richardson break off a run and watching LSU absolutely have the worst set of tackles I've ever seen in my life. To say that he shook off the tackles implies that tackles were attempted. They were pushing him, hugging him. If he had flags on his waist.
There was no hug. You're giving credit for a hug. There was no hug. It was maybe a two-hand touch what they wanted to do. Maybe one hand, and I mean, if you play in the streets or whatever, you didn't get two hands at the same time. They called that the pity pat touch.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But basically, it seemed that way. Like when he took off, I was watching the game, of course, and when he took off, he just like he pointed at his blocker, and so the quarterback just like takes on the blocker, and like he doesn't try to fight off of the blocker
Nope.
until the quarterback gets past, and I'm like, okay, maybe the next guy will tackle him. The next guy comes up to him, and it just goes. He like touches his shoulder, and then I think the other guy next to him tries to do the weird uppercut punch to try to cause a fumble, but he was nowhere near and completely missed. Like I don't even think he touched him when he tried to do this punch. Then a safety came over and dove at him, and just not even close.
Not even in the ballpark.
And then I think another person maybe touched his right shoulder pad, and that was it. And it was just, they could have tackled him. Like he wasn't out in the open. Seriously, like all you had to do was like.
At one point, he had four LSU.
Yes.
After he'd broken past the line, he had four of the secondary behind, like around him, and he managed to to say that he made it through implies that they were trying to do something.
Yeah.
He could have just stopped, and I'm pretty sure they would have hit each other.
Probably.
Yeah, I just pulled this up on. There's a YouTube clip from PSC Highlights, the same account that clipped us and clipped the Bear account from earlier. And this is the first time seeing it, and it's amazing. Like you described this perfectly. He calls out his running back to block the first guy, and then he's coming out. Safety kind of slips, touches him. The other guy touches from behind. Two other guys just barely glance off of him, and then we get the dive and roll into the end zone and the jump spike at the end. It was just a great way to finish.
I mean, that was weird. I mean, because at the point in the game was like LSU had 6 drives in that game, and they had 6 touchdowns on each one of their drives. So at that point that Anthony Richardson did this run, Florida was down 42-21. So, I mean, it made it 42-28, and then Florida came back and made it 42-35. Then there was like a weird penalty, which you thought maybe LSU was going to let it get away. LSU got a field goal, and then it was 45-35. So, it was just a weird game. I don't know. I think there's a tweet that Billy Napier reminds me of like a traveling baseball coach for like 10-year-olds, and he dips. So like he's dipping while he's trying to teach 10-year-olds to play baseball as they go on trips around like Alabama, Mississippi, maybe like Theodore, Alabama, and Foley, Alabama, where they're playing baseball on like weekend trips with the families driving in the minivans. But yeah, I definitely can see that one. I think was it at Billy Gomilla, I believe, has said that, and that is stuck in my head. Yeah, and he said that, and that is stuck in my head because I mean I played baseball growing up, and totally I would see him with the baseball hat on and a giant dip in his cheek, just spitting and yelling at you for not running out a pop fly or something, and just screaming at you, and so that's Billy Napier, the youth baseball coach.
I had a youth baseball coach that in early season before we started, playing games, we would one of the drills was we would be on the concrete for like the outdoor basketball hoop in the playground, and they would hit the balls off an aluminum bat on the concrete, and you would have to corral the ball while having a piece of wood on your glove hand. So you have to learn how to do soft hand. This is no joke. Like the hardest shit I've ever done. I'm like 8.
Jesus.
Man, yeah, seriously, like youth baseball coaches are some weird people, man. I played that growing up throughout high school, and then I played oh man, it was just youth baseball coaches. They're a weird breed. I'm just gonna say that. They're a weird breed. Weird breed.
Hey, Kamish, who has the worst third down conversion percentage in college football right now?
So the worst third down defense, right? That would be the Florida Gators. They have yeah. Do you miss Todd Grantham yet, Florida fans?
I don't think they do.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think they do.
No,
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe all the emotional blitzing that Todd Grantham did would stop some people. But Florida's defense ranked 131st in third down conversions allowed. Barely higher than Arizona State, Washington, Army, Oregon, Charlotte, Colorado, Kansas, and Vandy. We'll throw it in there, and the Husky Revolution. They're giving a lot, almost nearly 50%, 54% on third down that Florida's going to let you convert on third.
Jesus.
What a
where's
wild
Tug Anthem?
conglomeration of teams, though. It's like you look at stats.
Yeah, like
and,
none of these make I'm surprised to see like Washington on there.
Yeah.
or, like,
Yeah,
Oregon.
nothing makes
Kansas.
sense. Well,
Hey,
after this week,
where's Todd Your Anthem right now, guys?
I feel like
Hopefully
he's
not
like,
locked in your
Do you know?
basement.
I know. I have it right in front of me. Where is he?
oh my god. Okay, let's see.
Are we
Todd
guessing?
Grantham.
Is it a
Yeah, guess
D1
it.
school?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so he's at a D1 school. He is not a coordinator. He's probably going to be a position coach, right?
Is it FBS?
Oh no,
No. Okay. All
it's
right.
FBS.
FBS.
All right. I'm going to say that he is the UMass D coordinator.
I'm gonna say for Don Brown. Don Brown does love his blitzes.
I know. I'm just saying it may make sense, but it's definitely wrong.
He's got to be. I'm guessing he's somewhere in the Sun Belt because he's probably staying in the South.
He currently is at Nick Saban's School for Wayward Boys.
Oh, of course he is.
He doesn't get a phone number. He doesn't get an email account. He just he just looks at third and twos. That's all he's paid to do. Nevada, Hawaii. Jesus Christ, Nevada, Hawaii was it started out as a pretty good game. I said I dipped out about a quarter into it and watched some of the highlights later on.
Yeah, I mean,
how far did you make it, Kamish?
Okay, I made it to the third quarter, and this is the Team One Sports app. So I'm watching it on my phone. Like I can't cast it to like my TV or anything. So I have my phone in my hand. I'm watching this game. And the only thing that I really remember from this game, I remember Hawaii got like a fake punt on like a 4th and 15 or 4th and 13, whatever they converted in the first half. And they were going all out to get this win, which they eventually did, which is great. But I fell asleep with the phone in my hand, and it was 21-16 in the third quarter. Hawaii won 31-16. So me falling asleep, I guess, it helped Hawaii win it. I didn't make it I did not pass the Hawaii test. I apologize to the Sickos listeners. I didn't do it. Our friend, I believe, Podcat, he screen capped both of these here, but the Team One Sports app was showing Hawaii commercials. There was one for some sort of like milk commercial where they're all like holding like half gallons of milk and like gallons of milk on the beach.
Like you do.
I mean, that's what you do. You go to the beach and you drink milk. Apparently in Hawaii. Also, there was like a commercial for the McDonald's breakfast in Hawaii TV. So they had the Spam and rice with eggs for breakfast, and then there was like some sort of Portuguese sausage. I'd be down for like a Spam McGriddle breakfast sandwich.
I do a Spam McMuffin,
yeah.
Ooh,
so were you Commissioner, were you in bed while watching this game, or were you on the couch?
Yes, I was in bed. So like I think when I moved, when the Utah USC game finished, I moved to the bed, and I had like my headphones in. I listened to the full cast after dark, and then I had the Hawaii game going, like no sound on it. And then once that ended, I put the sound on. Just watching these commercials. I mean the local commercials that you get, period, from anywhere, if you're not from there, are always weird unless you live there, because then that's normal to you. But like just just drinking milk on the beach, like that was like the last thing I really remember. Like I went to bed, like I passed out. It was 21-16. I think it was like mid third quarter. I almost made it to the fourth. I think I woke up, I think at like 5 or 6, and it was like I had the phone in my hand and it was off at this time. And then I just just threw it over and continued to sleep. But yeah, it was a great game. I'm glad for Hawaii. I'm glad you guys got the win. I did not pass the Hawaii test. I failed. This is my first time that I did not make it this year. So I made it to week 7, being an old man such as myself. So I'm going to give, congratulations to myself, because I mean, we don't get paid to do this. So, I'm not watching these games
It's
for fun.
By the way, the Spam McGriddle does exist. Back in the Big Ten, Wisconsin, Michigan State ended up being a way better game than like I thought it was going to be.
I saw
There
precisely
was
one play
points.
from this game, and it was the Michigan State fake field goal with like the time ticking off at the end of regulation. And I just rewatched
No,
it right now,
it wasn't a
and it
fake. I
looks
don't
like
think.
it wasn't supposed to be a fake. Yeah.
No, it was not a fake. No, it went horribly wrong. It was definitely not a fake. I don't know. Like they tried to rush it on the field. They still had plenty of time. They had like at least like 6 seconds left,
I'm
and
seeing
then like the snap
13
went
right
wrong.
here before it was snapped.
Yeah.
12. Snapped it at like 8 seconds, I think.
Yeah, they had plenty of time. Plenty of time to take it easy, to do it, and they rushed it. Which I mean, like you have a kicking team doing a fire drill, which is never ideal, and they rarely make those kicks when they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the weird play. I think it was Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman. They were like moaning in the booth.
It was
there was
weird.
There was like somebody acted to get like a personal foul, and he flopped. Which there was a few of those this week, which is great. The Kentucky one was probably the best.
Yeah.
The one in the Kentucky game, that was the best flop. But they had one, and then like Spencer Tillman's going like making sex noises in the booth, which Tim Brando was the one that smacked Spencer Tillman's butt or his ass, smacking his ass in the booth. I don't know what's going on in the booth between Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman. I mean, we got sex noises from Spencer Tillman making weird sex noise. I don't know if they're trying to out RG3.
Yeah, was RG3 not on this broadcast?
No, RG3 was not on this broadcast. No. I don't know what's going on with Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman, but they're a weird pairing.
We lost both of our undefeated G5 teams this week, unfortunately. First one, Coastal, who probably looked the sketchiest of all the unbeaten G5 so far. They finally had their number called, and ODU took them down.
That's right.
This was, I'm not surprised this happened, because like I said, this felt like it was a long time coming. But ODU played real strong. They had Coastal on the ropes the whole time. Like it was never even. Yeah,
no.
Coastal was never in this game.
So I'm going to give credit to ULM. And so, like, when you loosen a pickle jar, since, like, ULM almost beat Coastal last week. So that's what I'm going to do it. ULM, Terry Bowden, softened them up, finally finished them off, and then ODU took it all the way. It's outrageous to be, like, an incredible... So, like, doing this, like, being the Sickos commissioner or whatever, like, just trying to be like an incredible homer for like a lower level FBS team is hilarious on its own. But saying that ULM loosened up somebody to beat them is it ranks really high up there for me personally. So I'm probably shedding some tears of laughter right now. I don't know if you can see me on the video, but I'm
Grayson McCall, who again, amazing lights out quarterback, got sacked 6 times.
There was one of the, I don't know if he was 100% either, because there was one point where he was going to try to throw a Hail Mary at the end of the first half, and it was the worst wounded duck I've ever seen thrown. Like, I mean, he just threw it, and I don't know if his shoulder was right or not, but, I mean, it went like 20 yards, and it, like, just was the weirdest rotation, floundering, pass I've seen. And so I didn't necessarily know if he's 100%. I hope he's okay. But it was not a good day for Coastal at all. And they got beat soundly on the surf turf.
Our other undefeated G5, JMU, lost to an angry Georgia Southern who's coming off their Georgia State loss. Kyle Vantries had a lights out day. 578 passing yards. Again, Georgia Southern is now an air raid team. Clay Helton has changed them and molded them into this team that he is just like Kyle Vantries is throwing for 500 yards a week.
And so is Georgia Southern the only team that's broken the Nebraska curse?
Yes. Yeah.
Because they've won 2 games since beating Nebraska.
No.
And
so OU got one.
Oh, OU won. Yeah.
So, but Georgia Southern is the only team that has broken the Nebraska curse twice.
Right.
So they have the most wins in this situation after they beat Nebraska. So that's, Yeah, Van Treese is. I mean, we may have to reshape the Detmer
based on him.
the
Yeah.
based on him, because I mean everybody's like he's the leader in Detmer because he's just lighting it up. And I mean Georgia Southern, I didn't expect him to be doing this. Like he threw for what 1,800 yards last year, the whole year, and he's at like 2,300 yards in
Yep.
week 7.
Insane.
So I mean, Georgia Southern is incredibly entertaining. But you know, again, no more G5s undefeateds. The last two in the Sun Belt East go down this week.
JMU still looks great. This was just a tough game to play. It's sort of fitting that the two, like, you know, Georgia Southern was one of the most recent FCS coming up stories that did very well the first couple years, and then JMU doing the same thing. So this all fits very well. Sun Belt's fun as hell.
Yeah.
Another team that's having a great year is South Alabama. We talked a little about them last week. They are way under the radar of like everyone. They got some points in the poll this week, which makes me happy.
Yeah.
But South Alabama has been doing really well. They were leading, ULM was actually leading South Alabama at the half.
Yep.
And then the second half just opened up on them.
It was just the horrible like 1-2 combo. So I was watching this one on the NFL Network.
Yeah.
And so it's ULM and South Alabama on the NFL Network. I'm like, yes. Like this makes no sense. So it goes to halftime. ULM's leading 20-17. I'm like, I'm feeling great. And then the halftime show is just nothing but NFL highlights. I'm like, dude, I don't care about the Jets. Let's talk about the Warhawks. I don't care about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's talk about the South Alabama Jaguars. I mean, this is ridiculous. They're previewing, like, I don't want to hear about Lamar Jackson. We could be talking about Chandler Rogers for ULM or something like that. Give us some Boogie Night talk for ULM or something like that. Give us something like that. Nothing. NFL Network said, no, you're going to get nothing but NFL highlights in the middle of the college game, which is disrespectful for Terry Bowden and South Alabama. I mean, that's just ridiculous. After the halftime, the disrespectful halftime, how dare you do this to the Sun Belt NFL Network? But South Alabama hit ULM with like a 1-2 combo punch, and that was it, really. Like, South Alabama takes the opening kick, drives it down in like 5 plays, touchdown. They're up 24-20. And then ULM has a weird deflection INT South Alabama, on the next drive. Then South Alabama takes it, and then it's 31-20. And that was pretty much it. You know, South Alabama extended it to 41-20. ULM fought back to 41-34. They had a chance with like a few seconds left, but South Alabama pretty much killed the clock at the end when they tied it up with 5 minutes to go. The third quarter was just like the worst possible thing to happen to ULM, and it just went horribly wrong. And they tried to fight back, but it was just too much to overcome. I mean, unfortunate for Terry Bowden's boys, and you know, just I really wish they could have done better because, I mean, ULM beat South Alabama last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, they put up a good fight, which is what you want. I mean, with a young team, and then I mean they didn't have many returning starters, so ULM's still fighting hard, which is good.
Hey, Notre Dame played Stanford this weekend, guys.
Stanford
won 16-14 on NBC.
Now this is the year that we're supposed to like not hate Notre Dame because they have their coach is likable and and
I don't hate them at all. I think that the team's going to take some time to turn around.
Yeah.
And like if you're letting Stanford run all over you, this Stanford, that's a problem.
I think there are problems, just Notre Dame's problems. Just put it this way: my high school, growing up in New Orleans, is affiliated with Notre Dame, and I've never been a fan, even though I have like families. You know, my shout out Uncle Ron, my Notre Dame fan, Uncle Ron. You know, he's a huge Notre Dame fan, but like I mean, really, honestly, I don't really necessarily like Notre Dame, but I mean, really, they got to do better than this. But they don't have any like skill talent. They don't have a quarterback.
Nope.
I mean, the quarterback got hurt earlier this year, and then they had a backup quarterback, and it's just I don't think they have like the talent there. Like their lines, like the D lines, the O lines, they're great. Like the tight ends, fantastic for Notre Dame. But I mean, like you can't really get anything done on offense without some sort of skill player. So that's going to be something for Marcus Freeman to try to figure out.
Is your Uncle Ron married to your aunt that's the Miami fan? Because
No.
that's some serious house dividing.
That's the other aunt.
Oh, the God, that would have been
That's the
Jesus
other
Christ.
aunt. That's the other aunt. So my aunt that's the Miami
Catholics convicts in house. I love
That's
it.
right. My aunt Tony that is the huge Miami fan, and so my aunt Lisa is the one that is married to Uncle Ron, who is the huge Notre Dame fan, who grew up also a Kansas State fan, and in one of the weirdest things that I ever discovered, which like 2 years ago, like they've been married for like I can't remember how many years. It's over 20, I believe. I found out he was an ex-Navy SEAL, and I had no idea. And I was like, "What the hell? Uncle Ron was a former Navy SEAL? What the fuck?"
Grew up as a
But, you know,
Kansas State fan is a lot, though. Like the years that your
like Kansas,
aunt would have been growing
he
up.
grew up like Kansas State when he grew up in like the 70s and 60s.
That was
some no wonder why he became a Notre Dame fan, because they were the only thing on TV then. And like, you know, yikes.
I thought you were gonna say that's why. No wonder he became a SEAL. He had to get that anger out somehow.
Get as far away from
Maybe.
the flames as possible and just get to the water.
Definitely. So it's weird. Like he's from Kansas and he was a Navy SEAL. Just weird as shit. But whatever. I love Uncle Ron is phenomenal. He's the classic. Shout out to Uncle Ron's hangover after my wedding too. Oh my God, Uncle Ron, legend. They're talking about kiddo, but like they don't have any skill talent. They don't. I mean, like I can't name a wide receiver on their team. I can name you their tight ends. I mean, I don't. I know like their quarterbacks like Drew Pine, but I mean like, and then the other one got hurt. Yeah, I'm like, there's not any of that. You know, like the Tim Browns or the Rocket Ishmaels or I mean, you go back to maybe like what Golden Tate. They don't even have like a Golden Tate. They don't have any like in Equiminius St. Brown or anything like that. They don't have any wide receivers that I know their name. And Stanford just plugged along, scored a touchdown. Then they were like, okay, we'll get a field goal in the second quarter. We'll get a field goal in the third quarter. And then we'll get a field goal in the fourth quarter. And we're going to win this game with 16 points.
I love how this podcast has just turned into remembering some Notre Dame guys.
Hey, remember some Notre Dame dudes?
Off-season content. When we start our Patreon episodes gonna be remembering some Notre Dame guys.
And we'll just like every 30 seconds we'll just name a Notre Dame guy.
With no commentary.
No commentary. Rick Meyer.
Stanford has only beaten one FBS team. That was Notre Dame. Marshall has only beaten one FBS team. That was Notre Dame. Ooh. So let's go into something happier.
Let's go.
Cal played Colorado, and Colorado won a game. They rushed the field, and it was awesome.
Amazing. Loved it.
I absolutely got my VPN going for this one. I hooked up. I was in Moldova. Was super excited. The best part about that was when I posted the Moldova thing, our followers, who are my kind of people, we know this, start posting Eurovision songs because that's how they know Moldova too. I'm super excited, Kamish. This is the year we get you into Eurovision.
I don't even know what this is.
It's great. We're going to have so much fun. You're going to have favorite countries. I'll take you through the whole history of things. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to love it. I promise you. Did you get your Fubo trial for this?
So I actually blew my Fubo trial, my free 7-day Fubo trial for this game. I was just like, I am going to sign up for Fubo, and I'm watching Cal versus Colorado. Like, this was the one that I thought could be Sickos game of the week. Like, when we were doing the rankings before we put it up to, like, the top 16. Like, Cal gave Arizona their only win last year. And I was like, man, I think Cal's going to do it again to Colorado. And they did. I mean, this is just one. Colorado was totally outmanned in this game. But they played incredibly hard. So hard. Like, the wide receiver, I don't know how he made that catch in overtime.
I have no clue.
It seemed like he just got like his big toe in and caught it at the same time after review.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was just an amazing catch. They were showing the interim coach for Colorado like going and taking pictures on the bye week with all the fraternities and trying to get everybody to come out. And they had like 50,000 for the game, which was great. It was a raucous atmosphere. Like they went nuts. And they were super in it. They were pushing the Colorado players all the way. And I mean, really, I was actually just very excited to see like Colorado fight. Like I could tell that they weren't like as talented as Cal. And I'm not going to put anything bad on Cal. Like Cal ran into like an unexpected hostile atmosphere.
Yeah.
In crazy elevation. on like a weird sleepy time of the day for them, which I kind of thought was the formula, and they did it. They pulled it off, and they're the last FBS team to get a win this year. So congratulations, Colorado. Congratulations, Buffalo. The Buffaloes, sorry, not Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen or whatever. When they stormed the field too, I was thrilled. I was like, do it. I mean,
100%.
you don't know if you're gonna get another one this year. Just do it. Go for it.
Nebraska Purdue was just a weird, wacky game. Purdue kept going up. Nebraska would just come back, fire back. Purdue ends up winning it. I don't know that it tells us much about anything. Purdue's interesting because I think I saw that their back half of their schedule is easier than the front half of their schedule.
I don't know about that. No, it's kind of. I mean, they haven't beat Wisconsin since 2004, I think.
Okay,
and that's their next game. So if they can get over that hump, that would be nice.
So yeah, so
don't we have a Purdue Iowa showdown at the end of the year? Purdue Illinois.
Yeah, Purdue Illinois. That one's going to be. It's the old Oaken bucket.
That's right,
boy, and that's going to be for the Big West.
Do we know how much the old Oaken bucket weighs?
I will find that out.
We got to find that out. We just want to know how much your rivalry trophy weighs.
That's
all. Do you think anybody ever fills the old Oaken bucket with whiskey and just goes to town on it?
I assume it's someone's bucket for Coronas at some point.
Of course.
In the MAC, Kent State Toledo. Kent State jumps up to a 21-0 lead in the first quarter.
In like the first 5 minutes of the game.
It was like boom, 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 boom. We're like, oh, Kent State. They are forged by fire. They went through, they went through the sharpening steel. They went through the crucible, and now they're back stronger against Toledo. Toledo brings it up to 28-28 by halftime, and then the game just gets out of hand.
This might be my most embarrassing thing this weekend is that I have personal connections to both of these schools. My wife went to Kent State for a couple of years, transferred away, but both my parents are UT grads. And so, like, I should have a real connection to Kent State UT. I didn't watch it at all. Sorry, but it sounds like a great game.
It's okay. This one was if you wanted scoring, if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, if they're not scoring every 2 seconds on board, boom, 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 boom. This game was like a pinball table.
Should have been a Wednesday game.
This should have been a perfect like Tuesday night game because everyone would have seen it.
It would have been. Oh,
Kent State started so hot and then just evaporated.
I didn't even know what happened for Kent State to get out to the 21-0 lead. I looked at my app and it was like 21-0. I was like, what the hell? So I was like, I immediately wanted to see what was going on, and then like Toledo, scored, so it's 21-7. Then it's 28-7. I'm like, okay, Kent State's got this. No, Toledo just oh my god. I mean, I don't know what happened. It's like Kent State made them angry because, oh, Jesus. Mm-hmm. The Toledo, take it out on them.
Toledo's quarterback
they hung,
is
52?
Yeah. Toledo's quarterback, DeQuan Fenn, managed 6 TDs. Kent State's quarterback managed 0. Kent State ran all those in.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was a weird one. And apparently, Kamish, speaking of Mac action, your phone wanted some Central Michigan Akron action.
Oh, seriously, which was weird. So, every now and then I'll pull up an app to check a score, and sometimes I use the ESPN app, which somebody's criticized me for using the ESPN app in our mentions. I didn't even click on the ESPN app for this reason. My phone just started auto playing the audio of Central Michigan and Akron, and then all of a sudden, the little tiny screen popped up. It's like, I don't know what was going on, like Steve Jobs or Tim Cook or whatever from Apple on the iPhone wanted to say, hey. Siri was like, do you want to watch Central Michigan and Akron? And I was like, oh, hell yes. Yes, I do.
Hell yeah, I do. Siri, you know me so well.
You know me so well, Siri. It came up on its own, man. I'm like, what is my phone doing? I was having issues with my phone all weekend, but that was the one thing that it got right. So,
Kansas, Oklahoma. Oklahoma discovered how to score points again, and that was sort of all it took. Oklahoma ran 115 plays. Kansas ran 81. This game was just absolute fire, and it's unfortunate I think that with Jalen Daniels, Kansas wins this. The Mean Bean Machine just couldn't do it. 2 TDs, 2 interceptions, 2.09 Detmer. Could have thrown it some more, just saying.
I just feel like,
Dylan
yeah.
Gabriel for Oklahoma, like 400 yards. He played so well.
It was just, I feel like Kansas like lost Kobe Bryant to injury, and like their defense just was decimated by injuries. I think there was another linebacker that went down, and maybe they were just like a mash unit. And with Kansas being this good early this year, like I just feel like they didn't have the depth that they need to plug and play when they have injuries. So I feel like they're feeling the effects of it. So hopefully they can get that sixth win at this point to get them bowl eligible.
Yeah, I'm worried that Kansas had a bit of a false spring a little bit where they won a bunch of games early and now they're getting into the schedule and they might get exposed a little bit more. And yeah, you're right. I hope they get that.
Again, great
with house money.
Time.
Sure. Yeah.
So happy.
Don't be hating. Don't be hating.
Be nice if Jalen Daniels comes back. I don't want it to happen. I'm just saying it would just be terrible if it does.
Speaking of injuries, I want to shout out to a UTSA player. I'll sub his name in here in this gap. He had never played left tackle in his life.
No.
Before Friday night when they traveled to FIU. He was a defensive player.
Yeah.
And a week ago, they were like, congrats, you're playing left tackle.
Oh, no.
And it took him about 2 quarters to figure it out. He had some trouble. They were running right at him. Like they were the FIU clearly knew that was going to be a spot. So they were running right at him. But yeah, shout out to a guy who played left tackle for the first time in his life.
How many sacks did he give up?
On a Friday night Conference USA game. Jesus.
How many sacks did he give up? If anything less than like 4, I think is great.
UConn only had 2 sacks, so they were fine. Yeah,
plug and play.
I mean, he did a great job for the Meat Meeps, and they took on Florida International on Vice night.
Vice.
Someone
pointed out that UTSA, like they had the UTSA logo, the Meat Meep logo done in the Vice colors, and I said it looks just like the Fiesta colors.
Yeah.
Just have Fiesta night.
That's right.
You could do the exact same thing because the Fiesta colors are teal, like the old Spurs colors, like that orange, teal, and pink. Just do UTSA and Fiesta colors. Beautiful, wonderful.
I would. They would love it, and they would sell so much gear here in San Antonio. They would sell so much gear with that.
Iowa State and Texas. Iowa State keeps losing these close games. Matt Campbell may be cursed. Texas probably shouldn't have won this game.
There was somebody in our mentions who unfollowed us and said that we were salty that Texas lost, and I was like, do you understand? Like, hey, you obviously don't listen to the podcast, Mr. Braggadocious Texas fan, who is a little bit more tempered this week, realizing
Can you tell? Oh yeah,
realizing that he probably should have lost this game if the Iowa State wide receiver didn't fall down, which the turf monster got him. Which I don't know. I'll blame Bevo on that one, but Bevo just stared him down and made him fall. But yeah, in this situation, I mean, somebody said that Iowa State is this year's Nebraska. So like they lose like 1 possession games in heartbreaking fashion. Their last 4 games this year, they have lost by a combined 14 points.
Oh.
So
I mean,
it's a
they
knife
beat Iowa. They won a 1-score game. They can't beat Nebraska.
Yeah. Okay. So they won a 1-score game. Yes, that's good. But there's this one follower. Every time we drop the Sickos rankings, after we gave Iowa State the Sickos game of the week, he was like, "You are disrespecting Iowa State Sickos wise. They are so Sickos. You need to watch." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Full attention now, Cyclone."
Yeah, you got
full
it.
attention.
I mean,
now.
that follower was right, I guess. Yeah,
you got it now. Full attention to Iowa State Cyclones. That's right.
The entire state of Iowa is very fun.
The entire state of Iowa. Yeah. I will remind you of that one follower's flag, the Iowa Sickos United flag. Shout out to the Iowa Sim, by the way. There was the Iowa simulation that won.
Versus Iowa.
Iowa versus Iowa. It was
Padilla
Team Petros versus Team Padilla. And Team Padilla won 27-14. So that was a lot of points in a sim. So that's kind of crazy. Petros in the sim threw 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. Team Padilla in the sim threw 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. So full Iowa, and that's why we ranked Iowa versus the bye. Just due to this sim, we didn't know it was going to happen. But I think they raised like over $600 some odd for the sim for a good cause. So that was awesome.
Back in the Big Ten West, Illinois at Minnesota. Minnesota at Illinois. Illinois wins this one, just grinding it out like Bert does. The meat grinder.
Say it, Jordan.
Grind it. Oh yeah, Bert. Oh, Bert's so good.
Okay,
Bert's so good. Oh god.
Good.
All right. Yeah.
I want to peel back the curtain a little bit here for a second. I gotta ask this because it's been so long and I don't know. Is his name? His name's actually Brett, right?
It's Brett.
It's Brett. Yeah, it's Brett. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Brett Bielema. Yes, it's
Like,
Brett. It's not Bert. It's Brett.
I just honestly, everything is always Bert with him, and it's just I can't.
I think it was. I don't even know when that originated, but it's just fun to say Bert. I don't know. I think it was like the meme where he had the shirt off.
Oh,
yeah,
where he didn't have his shirt off, and then it's a Bert.
That's a Bert.
That's a Bert. And yeah, definitely. It's just like Illinois is just God. They will just grind you to death. I mean,
Illinois had 500 yards this game.
Oh,
Minnesota had 180.
Seriously,
how many yards rushing for Illinois?
Illinois, they exactly split it. 255 and 255-ish. They about split it.
I mean, total balance on Illinois. Their defense is ridiculous.
That's actually the highlight. Yes.
Yeah, Illinois' defense is really good. Like I didn't expect them to be, I didn't expect them to be that good defensively. But oh my, like whoever the D coordinator is, like he's probably going to be on the short list of some head coaching jobs that openings because I mean their defense is stout and Illinois offensively will just grind you. The defense will just beat you up. It's a great team, like a great like Big Ten West like style team. Like Bert built that. Ooh.
Defensive coordinator Ryan Walters. He's he formerly played for Colorado. Was the defensive coordinator for Missouri before. He's 36 years old. This guy, maybe has a big
a young man.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right.
I will say that this was the game when I first saw the bowl season shirts. If you guys haven't seen this, this year the bowl season Twitter account, the minute that a team becomes bowl eligible, they are already like ready to print on demand a shirt that has your school's logo and it just says bowl bound, which. For some of the games this weekend, you're like, yeah, Syracuse, congrats, you made a bowl. Like maybe that. But like to release that after the Tennessee game is perfect. Tennessee wins this huge game. And then it's like, congrats, Tennessee, you're bowl bound. Well, I'm pretty sure that was like very low on the list of excitement points for that game. But okay, sure. Everyone go get your bowl bound shirt.
Jordan, I want to one up you one thing on the bowl bound thing is last week Duke's Mayo Bowl they put out a tweet. They're like, here's a thread of all the teams that are eligible for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And so like the first team to go 6-0 was Michigan. So like Michigan is now eligible for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Everybody in the replies is like, wait, why would they be playing there?
That's perfect. See, that kind of thing is great. This right here is just like, I can't, someone described it as, this has to be like the kind of person that gets the National League Wildcard Champion shirt. Woo, baby, yeah.
What's Rob Lowe's alma mater?
The NFL.
You buy the shirt where your team wins the division. Like not even in the playoffs. Yeah, you buy the NFC South champion Carolina Panthers.
I mean, if you're in the Big Ten West, you might buy the division champ shirt.
That is true.
I mean, honestly, it's a badge of honor. Seriously, if you win that Big Ten West, I may need to buy one of those this year. Whoever wins it.
UConn, I'm so sorry. I think I jinxed you guys. I was like super excited. You guys were ahead. I was like 3 wins in a row, baby. And then Ball State just came back 15 points in the fourth and just, sorry.
So that
Husky
was you.
Revolution marches on.
That was you then, Jay. Okay, all right. Because somebody in the mention was like, if you jinx this. And I was like, who's okay, so you can come after the jinxer Jordan over here. It was not me. UConn was up 21-10. They had like a really, really bad fumble. They lost like 17 yards, and then like Ball State was able to get 15 in the fourth to win like 25-21. Definitely just a Man, UConn let one get away, in which if they would have won this, they would have been 4-4, only 2 games away from a bowl, which would have been a momentous occasion for the committee. But hopefully they can pull it off. They got a tough road, but they may be able to sneak one or two. I mean, we didn't expect them to be Fresno.
On Friday night, Baylor West Virginia was an absolute wild shootout. If you were watching whatever the NFL was playing that night and didn't watch this instead, y'all were just wrong. Baylor had almost 700 yards. West Virginia had 500. It was max Big 12. It was great.
Beautiful. Shout out Jay Arnold. He went there. It was the send Jay away game. He does like a bracket in the offseason where he goes to travel to one game on the Texas A&M bye week. So he went to Morgantown on a Thursday. Shout out to the Smoking Musket also, who wore the West Virginia Dynasty cricket shirt to the game. So that's good luck. That's good luck. You have to wear that to every game now, Smoking Musket. So you do. You got to wear the cricket Dynasty Championship shirt. Seriously, I tried to get one. They only had small left, and believe me, my small days were probably like when I was like 8. So
I'd say like 4th grade, yeah.
Like maybe. But seriously, if they ever get more in stock, I may have to buy the West Virginia Cricket Dynasty shirt. Baylor is now 0-6 in Morgantown, right?
Yeah. Also Friday night, SMU and Navy. Only interesting thing about this was the horse shit on the field. And we got tagged so many times.
Oh my God.
Videos of the horse shitting on the field. Thank you. You guys know us so well. Thank you. Bless you. God. Puke. We like puke and we like shit. There we are, guys. We got a
puke
brand.
And poop. Puke and poop.
There we go.
Puke and poop. So like we got tagged in it so much we were trying to come up with catchy names for this now. You know, we just got tagged in it so much. And it was just one of those tweets where like everyone's like, hey man, hey Sickos committee, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this horse take a crap all over the field? Have you seen this? And then they had to stop the game for 15 minutes to delay.
That was the best part. There was a game delay to clean up the shit.
I think my favorite video was like the commentator, the normal commentator was trying to narrate what was going on and why there was 15-minute delay. And then Heisman winner Andre Ware is just giggling in the background. just giggling the whole time. He's like, dude, there's shit on the field.
Why couldn't we have had Robert Griffin on this call?
He would have been great in this.
It was so awesome. SMU won the game against Navy. It was a very entertaining game. Navy threw like a couple touchdown passes. They also bobbled and botched. They got an intentional grounding on a quarterback spike because they fumbled.
That's right.
But, that was great.
I've never seen that before.
I mean, like, again, that's why we get excited when Navy and Air Force and Army throw touchdown passes because, I mean, that's all they do is run the triple option. And then sometimes they bobble a snap and fumble one and get an intentional grounding on the quarterback spike. So, which is ridiculous. But no, that was fun. So the names that I think we settled on, since SMU is known as the Pony Express, we've settled on the names of either the Potty Express or the Poopy Express. So those are the names we're going to go with, one of those two there. You can decide, but that's what we named it since we got tagged in that video. Because there was nothing else going on besides the crappy Commanders and Bears game. And when a horse shits on a field, you know,
there's more
the internet
more shitting in the NFL game.
Oh, yeah. Carson Wentz.
The last game I want to talk at length about, or not at length, shortly, was a game only because the ACC network tried to hide this one from us. Miami at Virginia Tech, they put that on the regional network.
Seriously.
They're trying to hide things from us.
Seriously, I went to go try to find this game. I have the ACC alternate.
Oh, yeah? And not on
there. I have it. And they're like, we can't show you this game due to technical difficulties. I'm like, this is bullshit. I want to watch this fucking game. Let me watch this game. Seriously, I want to watch Miami.
You can't watch it. It makes you want to watch it more.
God, I mean, I want to see the Hurricanes play the Hokies. Come on. Let me relive the 90s and early aughts, all right?
Feels like 98, baby. Feels like 98.
That's right. Canes, Hokies, Enter Sandman. I don't know. No, they wouldn't let me do it. This is some bullshit.
This game was a blowout, and then it wasn't. Miami scored the first 20 points, and then just sort of let Virginia Tech back into it.
I feel like they should have when they broadcast this game and it goes on the ACC alternate network. When you try to log in to access the game, it just gives you a graphic and it says, "Name all ACC coastal teams," and you just have to pick them out of the lineup.
You have to enter the password, and they put a timer on. You have 1 minute to
I am
name
not a
all
robot.
ACC coastal teams if you really want to watch this game.
Select
And
all players of
they're
ACC
putting
coastal.
Miami on the ACC regional again this week.
Who are they
Against Duke,
playing?
which is
Against
come,
Duke.
come on, man. Y'all can't be doing this to Mario Cristobal.
Commish, who are our clock commanders of the week?
All right, so we're going to separate this one a little bit here for the clock commanders of the week. So there was some ref issues, and then the clock commander, we're going to try to give it to just like a coach in the situation. So we'll talk about the ref issues after this. So clock commander of the week, we're going to give it to PJ Fleck. Row the boat. Minnesota called back-to-back timeouts in the first quarter, near the end of the first quarter here, to try to force the Illinois backup kicker to kick a field goal into the wind. Now, it was a stiff breeze, fine, whatever. Instead, the Illini, Bert Bielema was like, man, fuck this. They went for it on 4th and 6, and they converted it. Just like they converted the 4th and 6. So basically, PJ Fleck's strategy, clock commandering, backfired, and he lost 2 timeouts to try to force them to kick a field goal into the wind. And shout out to Mr. Bielema, Coach Bielema. Beautiful. She said, fine, we'll just go for it then. Whatever. And they got it.
I feel like Fleck's whole thing is just to try to annoy other coaches to death, and Bert's just like doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is. I mean, he doesn't care. He doesn't. Whatever. I'm
You do that on
Champaign,
James
Illinois.
Franklin, and Franklin's gonna have a fucking fit.
A meltdown, right?
Yes. Bert's like, whatever, fine, we're going for it, and they got it.
I'll just kick it into the other win. I don't fucking care.
I don't care.
I don't care. Tell him to kick fucking sideways. I don't fucking care. He'll bounce off the top. Fucking row if I tell him to.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Bert, that's right. So PJ Fleck, clock commander of the week for calling back-to-back timeouts near the end of the first quarter to try to force somebody to kick into the wind in the first quarter. Thank you, and Coach Bielema for basically the anti-clock commander of the week. Like, I'm just going for this shit.
Let's talk about those refs now.
Oh my God. All right. So the refs were phenomenal this week. I mean, like very sickos. I mean, they gave Alabama like 16 penalties, the most they ever had in the game ever. So thank you so much for those referees. And Alabama are now the most penalized team in FBS. They rank 131st.
Oh my God.
Beautiful refs.
Holy shit.
Good job, refs. All right. We have 2 ref instances. My favorite one was it's towards late night, whatever. So UNLV is getting blown out by Air Force. It's 35-7. And evidently the UNLV band is playing in between Air Force's plays, which it didn't really seem to be affecting Air Force at all because they're up 35-7. So the ref walks into the stands and he goes up to the band director. I'm talking about like walking across, like section.
Excuse me, pardon me.
Seriously, it looked like he was walking like down the hall, like he was a principal, and he was about to give the UNLV band director detention. It was ridiculous that he did this. He was like, "See me after school," but like I don't know why he didn't want to do it over the intercom. I don't know if it wasn't working. Apparently, this happens at somebody I mentioned says this happens at HBCU games all the time. So that was ridiculous. And then I don't know what was said. We didn't get any comments after the game, which would have been great if we figured out what it was. Air Force won 42-7, so it really didn't matter. Then one other shout out we got to give out to the Pac-12 refs in the USC Utah game.
The last drive,
I don't know what was going on. But seriously, like they kept adding time back to USC. Like they gave them like 5 more seconds. They gave them another second. I mean, the Utah fans are going insane because they just kept doing it. And then I made a joke tweet after that. I was like, we believe Utah beat USC, but who knows that the refs can throw more time on at any time. Or, that last pass, USC tried to call a play mid-timeout. Timeout mid-play, whatever. But it's just so ridiculous. I don't know what was going on. Those refs were just absolutely ridiculous the whole game. So I don't know. We'll just name this with the "What's the deal with the refs this week" segment. So
Other random assortment of things that we want to mention. There was an 18 inning playoff game that happened last night.
I
God,
don't. Would the
baseball
Astros win
never
that one?
stops. Yeah, the Astros won that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I saw so much about how, like, the Mariners haven't been in the playoffs since I think 2001.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I went that year. It was Ichiro's rookie year, and I went to a game in Cleveland where they played, and they didn't win that series, even though they had one of the best records ever in baseball. And we're saying that, oh yeah, all the Astros or Mariners fans have been waiting for playoffs. So let's give them a lot more playoffs this year.
Baseball sucks because it can go on forever. It's like golf. It can just go on forever depending on how bad you are at it.
Well, and the problem for the fan experience is that they cut off drink sales in the seventh inning.
When I found that out, I was like horrified.
That's 12 innings. You can't. I feel like they should every two extra innings you should be able to buy a beer.
There you go.
Yeah, I think there was a tweet. I think it may have been from Brian Floyd, where he said like it must suck to like lose a game like that in extra innings, like 18 innings. You basically played 2 games. It must suck. Yeah. I can feel you there. In my baseball playing days in high school, in like a state final, state like semifinal game, we went to like 15 innings, and we only played 7 innings. We went to 15, and I even remember my stat line from that game. I was like 0 for 2 with like 7 walks. It was just ridiculous. Like I mean, it was such like I got walked so many times. I would always get to like first. I was always on first. It was ridiculous, and it was. Oh man, it's just such a bitter loss. It was a 7-6 loss. It was 6-6 after 7. Nobody scored for like 8 more innings. It was it was brutal. And I was playing, and they had like an allotment that you can only allow the pitchers to pitch 7 innings at a time. So we had a reliever. We had a reliever come in. They had a reliever come in, pitch 7 shutout innings on both sides. He walked me like 5 times. He didn't strike me out at all, but he walked me like I was on base every time, and whoever was behind me, just I get to second on a steal or a pass ball, whatever. They could not put me in, and so like it was. Oh God! Like this, them saying that it must haunt them forever. Yeah, that was over 20 years ago, and I cannot believe we lost that game. I am so mad that we lost that game. So I feel your pain, Mariners fans.
Shout out to the mustachioed Utah male cheerleader. He was going for it. We loved him.
Yes.
Shout out also to the Michigan Puke sponsored by Chipotle. One of those horrible delayed ad tweets. Chipotle usually makes you come out one end, but on this one, it was the other. See, we have a brand now. It's poop and puke. It's all.
Yeah, the Blake Corum, he's actually a sponsored Chipotle athlete. I think one of our followers / listeners I did respond to our thing, and he actually posted something the other day where he was at, I don't know, it was at a Chipotle or somewhere else. He actually ran into Blake Corum, took a picture with his son with Blake Corum. So like, yeah, I think they saw Blake Corum on the screen and they're like, oh, put it on there. But again, to go back to the other one, the Tennessee player, when he threw up before the play, there was something that came out. Blake Corum, it looked like he just like choked on something wrong and spit a little bit. It wasn't much.
Shout out also to the Rocket City Trash Pandas for hosting a one-way football game between Jacksonville State and North Alabama. Jacksonville State won it pretty handily. All the angles in that game were great. This is also the one where they only went one direction. Shout out to the Rocket City Trash Pandas social media team for like being super kind and interacting and explaining to everyone what this game was actually going to look like and be like. The Tennessee GoFundMe. This one rubbed me the wrong way. I'm going to back off on it a little bit because I was kind of an asshole about it. But basically, Tennessee afterwards, when you would expect them, their athletics department would be like, "Hey, won a big game. Let's fundraise off this." That's great. But they sold it as like, "Hey, y'all ripped down our goalposts. You should pay for new ones." And like that to me just seemed lame. Enjoy the win. Don't do this.
Yeah, I was like, hey man, leave Tennessee alone. The athletics department. They're gonna fundraise, and then there's maniacal Tennessee fans they're gonna buy into it and donate. The weird thing was the donation amounts. It was like, hey, you want like $16 for the last how many years? So congratulations,
That's a
Tennessee.
weird way to put it.
There was one lady who like cut up like a giant checkerboard square in the
Oh my
end zone.
God, yes.
see that.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my god! Like she took the entire hunk of like checkerboard in the end zone.
Perfect.
Like, I mean, she
Beautiful.
had like a Swiss Army knife. I don't know what she was doing, but she was like slicing that thing up like it was a cake. And she was
Yes.
gonna take that whole square home.
There was
I
the
don't know
other-
what she was
there
gonna
was-
do with that sod, but that was ridiculous.
There was the other one of the first students on the field from the one shot. She's out there in a walking boot running onto the field.
Oh, that was the TCU.
That was
Oklahoma
TCU.
State.
That was TCU. That was
Oh,
TCU.
okay.
That was
That was
TCU.
the TCU where they beat Oklahoma State after a lovely comeback
Just
to the
hobbling out
Horned
there.
Frog. She was like, I am storming this field. I do not care. I am in a walking boot. Shout out to her. I mean, that is dedication. You are in the
Yeah.
committee, whoever you are, for
Can I
storming
also
the field
say-
in a walking boot.
I will also say, like, Tennessee, like, storming the field, smoking the cigars out there. It was great. Like, marching the goalpost. Shout out to Art But Make It Sport, who
Yeah.
Oh my
who
God.
is so good at matching up like famous paintings to sports pictures. The ones from this game were absolutely amazing. Like,
The guy riding the
I'm
goalposts.
I'm considering getting prints on those because that's pretty amazing.
The guy
God, it's
riding
so
the
good.
the guy riding the goalpost, like pointing, and you can see like the balls in the background, and then he
So
matches it up with the other. Oh man, it was, yeah, he's good. I mean, it's phenomenal. It was a great. Art Would Make His Sports is beautiful. It's a great
Yeah.
account. You should follow it.
Other things, number 1 in FCS and number 1 in D2 both went down this weekend.
That's
I was
right.
following both these games. South Dakota State wins the Dakota Marker Trophy for the 3rd time in a row, which is a
Woo.
coup for them. And win it in Fargo is huge.
Oh,
And also, Grand Valley State upsets Ferris State 22-21 and wins the Acrebone Classic. Both huge games, like upends on that kind of thing. Yes. And then lastly, the Idaho Vandals, our beloved Kibby boys, went to Montana and won.
I didn't realize they followed our account until like the safety happened.
Mhm.
So it was like 6-3, and then like Montana's punter was back to punt, and then a safety happened because the punt went over like the punter's head. I'm sorry, the snap went over the punter's head, and it wound up in the end zone. And then the punter was like, "Oh no, do I try to punt this or?" And then it gets tackled by like 2 Idaho guys, and then the Vandals account like tag us in this tweet.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God.
My God, Idaho follows us? Yes,
Yeah, they
the
do.
Vandals. Like, hell yeah, Vandals. But like, I was like, I was so amazed. And then so we tweeted it, and then like the Big Sky Conference was like, yes, that we know the Sickos committee loves this one when Idaho's upsetting
Oh my
number 3
God.
Montana. And I'm like, the Big Sky follows us? Oh my God, the Big Sky. I gotta go out there. I wanna go to Pocatello, the site of the ULM 1987 FCS championship in the Holt. I believe it's the Holt Arena, the Sideways Dome. Oh man, I want to go. And I was thinking about going, but I don't know. Maybe I can pull it off. It's the week before Thanksgiving, Idaho versus Idaho State. I would love to do that, to go in Pocatello. I could fly to like Salt Lake and then drive up. I think it's like 2 hours from Salt Lake to do that. I would love to do it if I could pull it off. I do want to shout out some more Fun Belt action
go for
here.
it.
So shout out to Troy for coming back to beat Texas State. They look like Texas State, who beat App State, was going to be feisty and beat them. So shout out to Troy to come back and get that touchdown and then hold off the Bobcats. Also to the my sister's alma mater, I got to shout out Southern Miss. They beat Arkansas State by a point.
Yeah, real close game.
Very close game. They were down 19-7 going into the 4th, and then the Golden Eagles, Southern Miss to the top, came back and pulled it off and beat Arkansas State by a point. So the Golden Eagles, they feel at home in the Sun Belt, which is good. I know they had to leave Conference USA as like a founding member, but it's good that they seem to fit in the Sun Belt, and I really like it. And shout out to you for making the Game of Thrones Sun Belt sound.
That was funny.
Audio
I like
on, that was fun. And a yes, haha, yes. And we'll be back with a preview for week 8, because everybody thought week 7 was not going to be great, but oh boy, was it.
Yeah, it was. Every week this year just feels like one of those weeks.
Yep.
Okay, everyone, we'll see you for week 8. Thank you.